It's Tuesday, fellow economists, and guess what? You made it. You have completed economics at TCA, and that is no easy task. This is our final class of the 2019-2020 school year, and so we conclude our semester's journey into the world of economics. It's been a most unusual semester, to say the least. I had a chance last Thursday and Friday to see several of you, and it made me realize how much I miss the class environment, how much I miss being with you every day. I miss the back and forth, the unplanned diversions we take when I get a great question and suddenly we're exploring something we didn't plan to talk about that day. Even the groans that we get when I hand out a DPQ, though we didn't have as many of those as maybe you suspected. But most of all, I really miss seeing each of you every day being ready to learn economics. Your enthusiasm is contagious, and I thank you for giving your best. It's been a really good year, if a most unusual year. You'll never have another year like this. It'll be something you'll tell your children about. So we're hoping that free market rapper Scarce CT will be here today, but as a global superstar, he's not the most reliable person. He takes private jets and sometimes things goes wrong. But let's pray we hear from him, okay? I thought he'd be here by now, but he's not. So let's kill a little time and go through some stuff, and hopefully Scarcity will show up in the interim. So as I said, Econ is a challenging class. There's no doubt about it, but it's a class that rewards like no other. We introduce new concepts nearly every day, but they are foundational for us understanding how the free market works. And so it enables us to look at what politicians do when they interfere with the free market and the consequences of that. Now, we captured the essence, the top of the waves, the very most important things in our 25 BHEPs that we examined over the last 5 months. And as I said in the first week of class, and I declare to you now, you know more about economics than 85% of our elected congresspeople, congressmen and women at this moment. So congratulations, take a bow. And more importantly, your economics knowledge should have permanently changed the way you view politics, commerce, business, your future employment, whenever that may be, government, bureaucrats, and every economic decision you will make, from purchasing a latte to buying your first company or building a factory. I've been teaching Econ now for about a dozen years, and with each class I teach, I grow more and more in awe of Dr. Thomas Sowell, our leader. The clarity of his thinking, the way he can explain the complex, the way that anybody can understand it. And he repeats it often enough that we get it. It becomes ingrained in our thinking. So it just becomes second nature to us. I admire his bravery to take unpopular stands. It is not easy being an African-American conservative economist in the United States. I admire the depth of his intellect that he demonstrates throughout basic economics. And if you ever have a chance, watch some of his interviews from the 70s and 80s, you'll see what I'm talking about. Dr. S is brilliant. But as you go through life, as you leave TCA and you go to college or go into the workplace, wherever you go, you will find that many of Dr. Sowell's teachings will be attacked. They will be challenged by your college professors, by elected leaders, and by well-meaning friends. But I believe you are well prepared to defend the beauty and utter fairness of the free market. You will use Dr. Sowell's rational thought process against the emotions of those who argue that there is a better way to distribute scarce resources that have alternative uses other than a price-based economy. Now, you've done primary readings from Adam Smith to Dr. Sowell to Karl Marx, and you have a good breadth of the knowledge to defend that which is good and true and beautiful. And that includes economics as conceived by our founding fathers. And remember that quote from Dr. Arnn, the president of Hillsdale College? He said, economics is high and noble, and to study it is a high and noble endeavor. I picked up my first copy of Basic Economics on a whim from Barnes & Noble's about a dozen years ago. Since then, hundreds of my students have learned economics from the master. I especially love the way Dr. S gets us to view things from the perspective of a free market economist, with the objective of always what is the maximum prosperity for society as a whole. And as we discussed, prosperity is more than fancy cars and big houses. It's good health care. It's innovation in pharmaceuticals. It's wonderful museums and the arts as well. So it's not just the things we think of when we think of prosperity. It's all the stuff that makes us a wonderful society. We are always focused on the incentives that policies create, and we're focused on the consequences and not the intentions. We know now how to look at those. We learned right from the start when iPencil how complex this society is, how millions of people contribute to everyday objects without even knowing they're doing it. The coffee and the lumber going into the pencil and the person who made the truck. And as we trace that back, we were in awe about how complicated things are. And yet nobody's in charge of pencils. They just come there. Nobody's in charge of our breakfast, but we get it every morning. Every time you see the price of something go up or down, you will be wondering what news it is bringing. Let's see, hand sanitizer, $9 a bottle. That's bringing lots of news, right? And just this week, I read about J.C. Penney going bankrupt, the big retailer that probably you've never been in, but your grandparents probably shopped in. They've gone out of business. So it makes me wonder, and you're probably wondering, what social, technical, and economic changes did the leaders at J.C. Penney fail to make? Did their losses not tell them what to not do? Losses and profits have a reason, and they're both equally important. We know that business leaders get instruction from the marketplace. Why didn't J.C. Penney follow those? There will be many more business failures coming out of this economic upheaval. Companies both large and small will fail. And while we mourn for those who lose their jobs and lose their businesses, we know that the inefficient cannot hold on to Shraddha. They can't do it. Our society will suffer. People will find new jobs. That capital will go over somewhere else. The buildings will be occupied by somewhere else. And other companies will rise up to meet the needs. And some of those companies are going to be started by or run by TCA graduates, just like you. One of the highlights each year for me is reading the Communist Manifesto. There's no better way to see for ourselves what collectivism is all about than reading about it. Remember, Marx tells us right up front, we don't have to wonder about any of the precepts or any of the philosophies. He tells us the definition. And yet, many Americans still firmly believe in socialism. They will just tell you the only reason it's never worked is it hasn't been done correctly. They will tell you they want America to be like Sweden and not like Cuba and Venezuela and North Korea. But now you know the truth about Marxism. It's all right there in the manifesto. And you know that Sweden is far from socialist. In fact, in many ways, it's more laissez-faire than the United States. You also know that profits, a dirty word to many in the academic world and the political world, is in fact the price we pay for efficiency. And that price far surpasses the hidden inefficiency in socialism. And we know that all socialist economies are much poorer than they need be because of that baked-in inefficiency. And we've learned to be wary of popular, emotionally charged terms and assumptions: living wages, free health care, free college tuition. We're going to retire all the college debt. It's free. We're assuming that the poor always stay that way when we know that they're just traveling through. They start out poor and most of them go somewhere else. They go up to the bracket, and maybe even the top bracket. The idle rich. Remember that myth? How about the myths of greed? Greed is just a nasty thing. And we've learned that people acting in their own self-interest is what makes this economy work. It's what brings the butcher, the baker, and the brewer that makes them do their businesses. Government deciding winners and losers by how they incent things with taxes and that. Taxing for fairness, exploitation of people, and on the list goes. We know now to watch out for those. Unfortunately, we left a lot of material untapped. We left some great stuff on the table. If you want to keep your Dr. Soul book, just let me know. I'm sure you're going to want to take it to the beach this summer and read it. That would be wonderful for me. I especially regret we didn't get to the section on international trade, because there's a couple concepts there of comparative advantage and absolute advantage that helps us understand how the whole global market works. We also didn't get into the history of economics. And when we did this for 2 semesters, we had a chance to read from Hayek and David Ricardo and Ludwig von Mises and Jean-Baptiste Say. So we didn't have a chance to do that. In conclusion, I'd like to just give you this one gem right from the very first chapter of Basic Economics from Dr. Soul. Life doesn't ask us what we want. It presents us with options. Economics is one of the ways of trying to make the most of those options. Well, it's now time to announce the Dr. Thomas Sowell Award to TCA's top economics student. This award honors a student who demonstrates the highest academic achievement in economics during the year. It's based on grade point, class participation, leadership, and overall economics excellence. This person will join a very august and small group of winners, Mackenzie Payne from our very first economics class, and Addison Longenecker from the class of 2018, economics class of 2018. I need to tell you this year that the competition was as close as it's ever been. I actually had to run some numbers and go back and look at things to determine a winner. It was that close. There's any one of 4 girls who could have won this. But in the end, I am pleased to announce that Faith Mosier is TCA's winner of the Dr. Thomas Sowell Award. Faith had the highest grade point over the 2 quarters. Her papers were always insightful and in-depth, and they were pretty much ready to go on the first drafts. She was always thoroughly prepared for our class discussions, which showed me that she had done the reading and studied the night before. When I asked a question, her hand was inevitably up. I didn't always call on her because I wanted to hear from other people, but she was always there. Congratulations, Faith, on an amazing performance this year. And as I mentioned, there is a small stipend. In fact, 10 trillion of them. Yes, Faith, this is your $10 trillion Zimbabwe note. Don't spend it all in one place. This will remind you of our BHEP number 4, that it's not money that determines whether a society is prosperous, it's goods and services. Okay, so I will be in the classroom tomorrow, that's Wednesday, from 1 to 3. I have a meeting with Dr. Soul at 2:15. You can drop off your books then.
Hey, Mark.
What?
I think somebody's at the door.
Is that Scare CT?
I think so. I think it's for you.
Okay, let me go get him. Mrs. G, could you take over?
Sure.
Thank you.
Hey, congratulations, guys. That is great. Mr. Gutchie's Econ class is not that easy. In fact, it's pretty hard. I've taken it twice myself. Took me 2 times to really get it. But you have finished the year, and we are just so proud of you. So anyway, yeah, there is a strange visitor at the door. I don't really know if you've ever run into this guy. He is famous. He's the only econ rapper that I know of, and occasionally he does come to the house, and he and Mr. Gutchie have a high time. So anyway, in fact, you might be able to hear him. Oh, there is Scare CT. Come on.
There's only one dog who makes Econ whole. The leader of our posse, Dr. Thomas Sowell. He started out life as a far-left commie. Now he's more conservative than my mommy. Dr. S learned the basics from a homie with a wig. Adam Smith styled, though he never had a rig. He said self-interest motivates the land. Everyone feels the invisible hand. When studying econ, there ain't no excuses. The scarce resources have alternative uses. We're worried about consequences, not intent. Watch what happens when you control the rent. Demand increases, supply goes down. Rent control destroys, just like a bomb. Here's the truth about prices. Listen to my crew. Prices are messengers bringing lots of news. Could be good and it could be bad. Prices up the pump can make you glad. Here's more about prices and everybody say it. Price ain't a price unless somebody pay it. We know that losses count as much as profits. When business declines, it's hard to stop it. Some are gonna fail, some are gonna thrive. Don't much matter which ones survive. If you're losing money, you better be changing. It's how the free market does the rearranging. CDs be tanking, but we don't care. Spotify and Pandora got them fair and square. The changes can be techno or economic, but if you don't make them, it's a bomb atomic. In the free market business gets instruction. Socialists don't, cause destruction. Why are prices lower when you make a profit? Socialists are wasteful. They can't stop it! They have no incentive to conserve Schrat Thou. It's why Sarasota's richer than Moscow. And one other thing that's really outrageous, youth and minorities crushed by minimum wages. You'll lose your job or not get hired, replaced by an iPad. It can't get fired! Government unions are raking in the dues. Their inefficiency gives society the blues. So remember, Econ's about cause and effect. Hope don't help you pay the rent. We're all crushed by status health care. There's no cotton candy at the laissez-faire. Let's do the economy for more prosperity. I've broken it down. I'm scarcity. Out.
Well, bye, Mr. Scarcity. Thanks for coming. You know, and another person that I has been waiting in the wings to say hello.
Would you stop it?
Is Maple Ginger. Bye, Econ students. Have a happy summer.